recovered from stage 4. We must not have really had stage 4. And I said, well, yes, I
yes,
did.
you did.
I've got the films to prove it. But it's not, I don't even really think of it that much because, and I don't think it was a miracle. It was not a miracle. It was science. And
well, that's a soundbite. That's a soundbite. According to her treating physicians, presently her prognosis is guarded and the goal of therapy is by and large palliative. Follow-up CT scans of April 10, 2000 revealed the disease had spread to both of her lungs. A 1.3 centimeter nodule was identified in her upper left lobe and a 1 centimeter nodule was seen in her right middle lobe. Both of these lesions abutted her heart.
I remember having that conversation with Dr. Oratz, and it didn't even occur to me that I was going to die. It has never, knock wood, it has never occurred to me that I'm going to die from this. And I remember sitting in the chair with her. She was showing us the films and describing how films are, how the images are made. And she said, so, you know, it's terminal. And you've got about 6 to 8 months to live.
The courage angle for most people is to have the courage to do something that their trusted physician is saying. And you know, everyone who has any type of cancer is pushed in the direction of chemotherapy, typically, even if statistics show that it has virtually no chance. And even faced with those statistics, it's hard for many people to do something other than what their doctor's recommending. I remember before Patricia found out about Gerson and Coley's, the first oncologist she went to.
Shapiro. Or Dr. Ruth.
Yeah, Oratz.
Yeah, Dr. Oratz, yeah.
Was right up front with us that her chances are slim, you know, she has so many months to live. Do chemo anyway, and we left there thinking she's just like an ATM dispensing chemo, and not as a solution, but as it's just what she does. And you know, we weren't satisfied with that as a strategy. But I think for a lot of people,
I know that when we did Coley's, the first time we did Coley's, remember you were in the room, and I was so sick. Remember the Coley's? And Garrett just sat on the bed and cried. He thought, I'm going to have.
I don't remember that.
I'm going to have to call Patricia's parents and tell them that their daughter has died. Because the Coley's was so intense the first time. The first time it was intense. The second time, less intense. The third time, way less intense. But each time, the tumor on my back, we were lucky because we had this benchmark and we could feel it getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
The mole on your back.
Especially those first couple of
Well, that's right, and that first Coley reaction, when you were setting the white cells free, every one of those tumor-associated macrophages started to produce all kinds of interleukins and interferons, so you got not only the Coley vaccine response, but you got a response to your own white cells freaking out and turning on at red alert levels. And that's what drove you into the constant fevers, and I imagine there was probably some nausea in there.
Oh, there was a little bit of
a little. I think I remember somebody throwing away her juices. Is that possible?
No. Did someone do that?
And I would fish them out of the garbage.
I would say, look, the glass is empty. What are you talking about?
No, I remember sitting down right at the head of your bed and telling you, Patty, we can't do this without you. Mm-hmm. We have to have you on our team.
Yeah, I had to be driving that bus, I think is what you said. And
yep.
I was able to do that with the help of some little jelly beans after each green juice, because I'm sorry, the green juices, still to this day, they remind me of pond scum. Pond scum on a hot summer day. They're not even chilled pond scum. They're just, they're yucky. But they worked measuring stick for us. We had a little benchmark.
Do you remember the experience you had when you left the hospital and went home for a friend's wedding?
My sister's wedding.
Oh, it's your sister's wedding,
yes.
And you stopped at, was it Roosevelt Hospital? I forget which hospital it was. You went to a hospital, you managed to get a scan on the weekend and come back with it.
Uh-huh. That was, it was Roosevelt Hospital.
How did you do that?
I don't know. Well, you know, my oncologist, even though he continues to believe that someday I will die of the melanoma, which he says, and I say, well, you know, as long as I'm 90 years old, that's fine with me. He was interested and he just got me in, so I had my scan.
Yeah, as I recall, you came back with fewer tumors in the lung than you left with.
I think so. I think so. I know they were significantly reduced.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And also, I told my oncologist that I said on my 80th birthday, I made a date with him to have martinis at the Boathouse in Central Park.
Fantastic.
And he shook on that.
All right.
You know, also I want to say that when I was in the hospital, when I had a brief recurrence of the melanoma, it was in my intestinal tract. And that was about 6 months after I got back from Mexico. And that was really painful. That was the first time ever that I'd had pain from the melanoma, because always before you were saying, oh, you know, you better start drinking these juices or you're going to not see Christmas this year. And I'm thinking, oh, God, he's so dramatic. And then, you know, by the time December, January came around, I was in so much pain from these tumors in my intestine that that I started to believe you. And I went to the hospital to have a bowel resection. And I shared the hospital room with a young woman who had some sort of pelvic cancer. I don't remember what it was. And she, in fact, had the same gynecologist that I had. And so Dr. Anderson came into the room and I said hello, and we turned out to have this woman in common. So I was talking with the patient, and she mentioned she had gone through chemotherapy. And we talked about chemotherapy, and she talked about how it was so important to just cut your hair off, because once your hair starts falling out, it's just such a mess, and so it's best to just buzz your head and not even worry about it. And she would say, oh, you were so brave to do Gerson and Coley's. And a lot of people said that to me. You were so brave. Oh, you were so brave. How did you have the courage to do that? And I said, it really did not take courage. It just took common sense and not believing what everyone wants you to believe. And I went back to see the gynecologist about a year later, and I said, oh, and how is Lisa? How is the patient that I was with? And the doctor just shook her head.